84% of people in our region consider themselves Christians. That means the church is everywhere, in our neighborhoods, workplaces, schools, government, healthcare systems, and more. Together, we have the power to transform our community so that everyone can flourish. But sometimes it's hard to see what role we can play and what difference we can make. So you're about to hear a story, and it's about an ordinary person helping our city flourish by integrating their faith into their everyday life. This is a story of the church beyond the pew.
Today we're here with Gayla Bell. If you've heard of Gayla Cake, this is the face behind the beautiful and delicious goodies that you get. You're in the Jacobsville neighborhood.
Yes.
Where are you located? On North Main?
Yes, North Main,
Okay.
right by Tironi's.
That's right. Okay. All right. Because I definitely have seen it before. So you reached out to us because you saw that we were doing this series and said, that's me. And so we were really encouraged by your email. So I want to encourage other people, if this feels like you or you have a story beyond the pew, we would love to hear it. You don't always have to be on the podcast. We're not going to make you be on the podcast, but we are so encouraged by these stories, and there's so many out there. And so thank you for coming in today and sharing your story. My favorite thing at the very end, you said it's not just a bakery, it's a ministry. And so can you explain what you meant by that?
Yes. So growing up, I was at church all the time. I'm a deacon's kid.
Okay.
Better than the preacher's kid, deacon's kid. So we were there all the time. 5 times a week probably. And I felt called to ministry, but I didn't know what it was. From early on, I just thought the church was my ministry. So I served in everywhere. And then, I lived the Christian life, but I didn't think about outside of the church walls being a calling for me. I think it was. I just wasn't hearing him.
Yeah.
So when I opened Gayla Cake, I was just opening a business, something that God gifted me with, and so I just was doing something I love to do, and scared to death, of course.
Yeah.
But he has this way of just being like, here you go, here's another, this blessing, here's another,
Yeah.
even when I don't ask. So that was what he did in order for me to open Gayla Cake. And I had a friend, still have her as a friend, who said to me, and she's in the community, and she was in the Jacobsville area doing some work there, and she said, you can be a light on this corner. And I've never forgotten that. That was 11 years ago, about to celebrate 11 years. Wow. And that stuck with me. And I thought, how can I do that? Baked goods are great, make people smile. So, but it went beyond that. And as time went on, and people would come in and would tell me stories, and they could be just stories about how they never had a decorated cake, so they wanted to get one, or somebody was celebrating a transplant, like
wow.
a kidney transplant or a lung transplant. And so we did these cakes decorated like a kidney or a lung. And so I would hear those stories, and it's amazing how, if you are just open to listening, how many people will tell their story.
Yeah.
And so that's how it began. And then, as far as Jacobsville community goes, the neighbors in that community, I learned a lot about them whenever, and my customers too that come from outside of Jacobsville, but particularly I got robbed I can't remember what year it was.
The bakery got robbed?
Yeah, the bakery got
man.
robbed.
Okay.
And it was very disconcerting, of
Yeah.
course, because we couldn't find how they got in. No locks were broken. There was a lot of questions. And then the following weekend, I had gotten things replaced, gotten back, to doing business, and they did it again. Got robbed.
Oh,
Another.
my
It happened to be
goodness.
Easter weekend of all things.
Oh, gosh.
And so I walked in that Monday morning, and things were gone. The electronics, the computers, cell phones. So I was just very down, just very
Yeah.
like, how in the world do I keep going with this?
Right.
And that week, and I put it out there. It may have been on the news or something, but
Okay.
a gentleman from the neighborhood came in, and he pointed out where he lived. I knew what block he lived on, and he said, he goes, I don't have much, but I wanted to give you this. And here I go. I'm going to cry. He had a handful of change, and he dropped it on the counter in front of me.
Oh.
And it was about $10 or so. He goes, I just want you to know that there are good people in this neighborhood. And one of the coins in that was, a special coin. And so one of my employees made me a little shadow box and put that coin in there with that. There are good people in this neighborhood.
Oh, my goodness. That's beautiful.
So, I know. And so that kind of started me with some random person who probably doesn't even live in this neighborhood could have done this.
Right.
We don't know.
Right.
But after a second time, the police found how they got in, and the community came out for me. They supported me. I got some anonymous donors to replace the money we had in the cash register. So that was not the number one not the very first blessing that God did for me and for Gayla Cake, but it's one of many. And so with all of that, it became clearer and clearer that I was there for a reason, and that I could reach people on a level that I could never have done teaching Sunday school class in church.
Yeah.
Getting to them where they live. And
Yeah, you're where they are instead
Yeah.
of them having to come to you.
yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. So there, you were just mentioning before this that your tips go somewhere. Can you explain to me what that process is?
So we did this when we were open regularly. And honestly, it came from one of my employees probably 8 years ago. And because of the work that we do, and there's a lot of creativity to it, but it's all a team effort. There isn't one thing that we put out that everybody has had a hand in doing, whether it be answering the phone to take the order or what. But and so people would say, we'd love to give you a tip. And I just wouldn't accept them because I was like, this would go to everybody. I'm not sure how to do this. I have not taken tips. I don't, with
Yeah.
a team of people. So so we talked about it, and she's like, people want to give tips. And so I was like, help me feel better about this. And so she suggested, why don't we give to some of the nonprofits that you've already contributed to? We do Gayla Cake does a lot as far as in-kind giving.
Okay.
Cakes for bake sales and auctions and for nonprofits.
Okay.
And so we do a lot of that, but we hadn't done any financial help. Bakeries are not a high profit business,
Sure.
so there's not a whole lot to give. But so what we decided to do as a team, we came together, talked about the idea and decided to pick a nonprofit to contribute to. And so I want to say our first one was Tri-State Food Bank.
Okay.
And so it started, and we would just tell people, we'd put a sign up and tell who we're giving to, and we'd let them know, hey, if you want to give a tip, we're donating all of our tips. And it started that way, and it grew and grew and grew. And it actually became big enough where I would have nonprofits to contact me and say, hey, how can we get in on your tip giving?
Oh, wow.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I was like, we can do that. We're finishing this one up. And we did, we gave to nonprofits that meant something to us. Like one of our employees had a family member who was at Ronald McDonald House.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so, and they were like, let's give to this, and see if we can give it locally. And so we did that, and also provided dinner for them or helped do that. So, yeah, just things that meant a lot. And then it was like, there's so much in Jacobsville. I mean, we have the best nonprofits there. They're so cool. Aurora and Echo and Dream Center. I mean, and we have shelters or food service, and today there's a pop-up produce market going on at our little pocket park. So yeah, just fun,
so cool.
Really cool things. So
yeah. So how did you get to that point of thinking like that you wanted to be a generous business? Was there a process in that when you said you hadn't done tip donating, but you'd already done these in-kind donations and things like that? What got you to that point?
I think it was just God speaking to my heart, and like I said, I always have felt blessed by Him. The most stressful thing I ever thought I would do would be to raise teenagers. It's not. It is owning a business, and owning a bakery, a small one-person business like this is hard, and it is tiring. But God has continued to bless me and bless me and bless me, and I know that I can't just keep taking on the blessings without giving something out. And He's made it clear, I'm blessing you, you bless others. So one of the things we're not currently, because of the economic way things are right now and the struggles that all small businesses are going through right now, we're not doing the tip giving. But one burden that He did place on my heart very clearly, and I can't tell you the day or time, but I remember it so vividly, that He wanted me to do something for the foster families who take on, they have their own kids and they take on more. They give love to the kids who need it, and the cost of all of that. And also just hearing stories when people come in about, I've never had a decorated cake, or I've, never had something like this. And they didn't grow up like I did with a mom who decorates cakes. So, so I started a program. It's Foster Care Cake Program. It's not a fancy name, but I spoke to Borrowed Hearts and Isaiah 117 House and Isaiah 117 Project and DCS and CASA. And so put together a certificate and information, and they give those to their foster parents, and they can fill that out. And as long as it has that signature on there, then they get a free birthday cake for their littles who,
That's amazing.
So that's been, and I have not discontinued that at all. It'd break my heart to discontinue that, because I've heard back from a few I don't hear back from everybody, but I've heard back from a few. Like there was a little boy, he was like, oh, is that for me? You know, you know, and I can't do without those blessings. I just can't.
Yeah.
So, so those are incredible. It's been amazing. And, you know, we've had, just story after story with that. And, it would just break my heart to not be able to do that anymore. So no matter what, that's one program I'll always do, I think. Even if Gayla Cake doesn't continue, Gayla will, and there'll be foster care cakes.
You'll always be there.
I will be here.
Well, I love how you've taken that initial, you can be a light on this corner, but I feel like you've taken that to the whole neighborhood of you can be a light in this whole neighborhood. And so thank you for your heart and thank you for listening to the Lord on that. But also just incredible to hear how God can use anything and anybody.
Absolutely.
And it may seem small in your mind at first of like, I just bake cakes or something, but it's not just a cake. And for these kids to have a birthday cake, or for somebody who's never had a decorated cake before, or these nonprofits, or even that man saying, hey, like, I don't have much to give, but there's good people in this neighborhood. Like, and how you've spoken, I think one of the common threads that has already come up, we've only had 2 episodes in this series, but one of the common threads, and even your story confirms it, is that we need the people or the neighborhood or the workplace or whatever that we're serving, the people there. We need them just as much as we might think that they need us. Mm-hmm. And it is a relationship. That's what the kingdom of God is people living together in community and relationship, and everyone has something to offer. And it sounds like you've been blessed in so many ways by the community there in the neighborhood, even the stories that we don't have time to share. I feel like we'll come back later and have a whole other conversation with you. Maybe we'll have a part 2 or something, but just want to say thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. And do you have any last things you want to say to people who are just trying to think about how God can use them in either in their workplace or just in their any-day situation?
Yeah, we have, so I've had the honor of also working with some other Christian women. And just recently she's been able to pray with one of our customers just out front, right out in the open, on Main Street in Jacobsville. And because of some health issues there, and just knowing that you know, Gayla Cake is part of that. It just, I have chills. I have, you know, I'm just always like, just another blessing, just another, and then thinking about all the customers that I have such loyal people who come in every single week to help support me and my employees and my business every Wednesday that we're open. And I see the same faces, and I don't, my memory, I never can remember everybody's name, but I know their faces. And just being able to say, hey, how's it going? You having a good week? Any of those words where you know the other person really cares. They're not just giving a greeting. It's genuine. And it means that they love you and they want to support you, and they pray for you. I'll have people say that. And the people that have come in that they've come back from a cancer treatment and they want to treat, you know, and then we can pray for them, or we can talk to them about it. And it's just a blessing all the way around. We're just not blessing them, just being able to bless them blesses us.
Yeah, you've created this really beautiful community there.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
You just heard a story of the church beyond the pew. At 4 Evansville, we believe that the church has the power to transform our community, but it doesn't always show up where and how it should. That's why we're on a mission to help Christians and churches discover the role that they can play in addressing our city's greatest needs. Are you passionate about seeing the church bring God's peace and justice throughout our city? If so, I want to invite you to join the For Evansville Collective, a community of people who are passionate about being the church beyond the pew and helping others to do the same. You can support For Evansville's mission and gain exclusive access to resources that will help you love our city well. Visit forevansville.org/collective to learn more.